from the heart of trucker America, my boy Reed Coverdale, host of The Naturalist Capitalist.
This is what government does. It sucks. It is that perfect mixture of inept and conniving.
Some of my closest relationships are now ruined.
If you think you're going to win people over by stating commonplaces, you're just selling the other parts.
If you are just contrarian, you are by default going to be wrong, because they're always going to have some tidbit of truth.
It is about dictating every transaction that you have for the rest of your life.
Libertarians need to get out of New York. They need to get out of California.
Insurrection at Capitol Hill.
That was the beginning of my problem.
Coverdale is the guy to be president of the United States.
No one's willing to change anything about themselves to get there.
But I'll put a 50 cal attached to my Suburban.
And he died doing what he loved, chasing a minor.
This guy's a fucking murderer.
The gulag is going to be in your house, completely estranged from everything but propaganda. Pearl Harbor was not a surprise, and Saddam did not have nuclear weapons.
Unless you solve the central problem, then we'll be fighting over Mr. Potato Head forever.
He should not be alive. This is unfucking believable.
Gotta get him out of that truck at night and get him into the White House.
Hey guys, thanks for watching The Naturalist Capitalist. I'm coming to you tonight live just to do another stream where you can ask me any questions you got. Just kind of be bullshitting. I usually do these for around an hour or so. So if you have any questions, just throw them in the chat and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. Before I do that, I'm just going to let people kind of trickle in over the next couple minutes. So I'm going to do some housekeeping stuff to start out with. So listed in the description, I've got Substack and Telegram, which are the two platforms I want you to go follow me on the most, because that's where you're going to be able to keep up with me the best. Substack, I put out articles 2 or 3 times a week, or sometimes just a little like notification about what's going to be coming up, with tons of external links and everything that can lead you to other places. And then the other platform is Telegram. Now, Telegram, you can kind of do anything with it. It uploads all my videos from YouTube automatically there. So whenever I go live or whenever I post a video, it'll show up in Telegram. So it's very easy to keep up with me there. And then I can also post photos. I can post articles. I can post all sorts of shit. I've got like 230 people following me there right now or something like that. So I'd really like to pump those numbers up. Just download Telegram. Super easy. You can buy it at the App Store. Use it right on your phone. And, they don't seem to ban people there. They might have banned somebody, but my friends who get banned are still there. So go check those out, please. Also, Odyssey. I'm actually going to drop a link in the live chat to Odyssey. So that's a video streaming, uploading platform like YouTube, but you can say whatever you want over there. There's actually free speech and they don't crush you in the algorithms, but there aren't as many people over there. So it's a toss up, but I got to start building that up more. YouTube has been fucking with me because I've gotten tons of messages from a bunch of different people telling me that they've either been unsubscribed or they're not getting notifications when I go live, even though they are subscribed to me and they've hit the bell. Some of my friends I've even been talking to told them I've put up like 4 episodes in the last few days and they didn't even know I'd put any of them up because they didn't get any notifications on their phone, any notifications on their computer from YouTube. And I've noticed my viewership is less than half of what it used to be. So like 3 or 4 months ago, if you go look at my episodes, I was usually getting at least 1,000 views per episode, or pretty fucking close. It'd sometimes be like 800 or 900 or something, but that was the baseline. And then if it was a decent episode, I'd get like 2,000 views. And then if it was a banger, like a 4 Horsemen or James Lindsay or some guest like that, it would be like over 5,000 views. I got like 8,000 views on one of my videos with Ryan Dawson, got almost 7,000 on the 4 Horsemen with Alex Stein, got like 6,000 on the 4 Horsemen with Mackenzie. Like, we were doing really good. And it's dropped way off. I'm getting like 300 or 400 views per episode. Even the 4 Horsemen, I'm lucky if I'm getting to 4,000 views right now. That used to 5,000 was like the baseline for the 4 Horsemen. So There's definitely something going on, and I tried not to say anything about it at first because I've always been skeptical of people who are blaming algorithms for their lack of success. But to me, it definitely seems like something is going on, and a lot of people are corroborating that by saying they're not getting notifications. So yeah, just make sure you're keeping up to date on YouTube when I upload stuff. Make sure you go and just check the feed occasionally. And so the way my YouTube channel is set up is at the top. If you just go to my homepage, it has like popular uploads, and then there's playlists. And I think the Four Horsemen's a playlist, and then I've got like heavy equipment. I forget what the other, and then the other one's popular guests. So to see all the videos I've done, you have to press on videos, and that will bring you to everything that's come up. It'll be all the live streams, all the videos I've done, and they're all in chronological order. So that's the way I used to have my channel set up. It would just be whatever the latest thing was pops up on the screen. The reason I changed it is because it's a more professional setup. If I'm trying to entice someone into coming on the show, if they go to my YouTube channel, they'll instantly see, oh, Ron Paul, Peter Schiff, Abby Martin, Ryan Dawson, these kind of bigger names. Because sometimes I will have put out like 7 videos about something a little bit smaller or whatever that's not that interesting. So they'll have like 150 views or something because it's just like a video of me chaining down a bulldozer or something. So I wanted to have those kind of eye-catching big interviews up top. So if you're looking for, actually, you know what? I'm just going to pull it up here so I can make sure I'm telling you guys what's going on. So let me share the screen here. Sorry if this is something you already know. I'm just trying to make sure everyone can see this. So this is what my home screen looks like. I'm live streaming right now, so the live stream shows up on the top. But if I were not live streaming right now, this would be the channel trailer that shows up right here. So then you scroll down, and I have popular guests. So we got Ron Paul, Peter Schiff, Ryan Dawson, James Lindsay, Abby Martin, Dave Smith. And then if you click over to the right, it brings you to more guests. We got Maria Farmer, Kim Iverson, Tom Woods, Scott Horton, and Spike Cohen. And then you go down, it brings you to past live streams. So these are only live streams I've done right here. This won't show every single video. So if I upload a video, it won't show up here. These are only the ones that I've live streamed, which usually is the majority of my episodes. I try to do them live because they trend better. And then we got the Four Horsemen. So this is just all the Four Horsemen episodes from the first one I've ever done. And then this one is heavy equipment. There's, I don't know how many, like basically every time I strapped down a piece of equipment, I added it to that playlist. And so then to go to all videos right here at the top, you see you got home, videos, playlist, community, channels, about. You have to click on videos, and that gives you everything I've uploaded. So like episode 246, I didn't live stream that. That was filmed at Young Americans for Liberty Revolution down in Florida. So I uploaded that. That's how you'll find that. Angela McCardle shouting me out on Timcast also didn't live stream that. That was an upload. So that's how you can find literally every video I've put up on this channel. So hope that clears that up just in case anyone's confused. So again, homepage, you're going to have my channel trailer here. Then you've got these different playlists, popular guests, past live streams, Four Horsemen, heavy equipment. And then down here are featured channels. So these are other channels I'd recommend people subscribe to, their friends. And also, I think if you actually go here to channels, it gives you the whole list. So these are friends who do shows that I appreciate and that I've been on, and I've had them on my show or whatever. And then there's also, people that I listen to a lot and get information from. So just go check those out. And then also, a lot of you guys see me on the community pages. I post stuff on here pretty regularly. I post photos. I post updates. I post links to other videos like Jeremy Kaufman's videos. And if I go on someone else's show, I'll post it here. Like I went on Dave vs. Goliath the other day, so I posted the link so you can find it here. These types of things I also will put in Telegram. And I am using Facebook, even though nobody fucking sees anything I post on Facebook. I share stuff to the Mises Caucus group on Facebook, which has like 13,000 people in it apparently, and it'll get like 2 or 3 likes. So no one's seen any of my shit on Facebook, and it's because of stuff I've posted there. They even say as a penalty, if you post stuff in the groups, it's going to be down near the bottom. I got banned off of Facebook for like 3 days because I said that we don't hang people, we drone strike them instead. For some reason, that was worthy of getting kicked off, and I wasn't allowed to live stream for a while, and I'm still restricted in some ways, but I don't get shit on Facebook. It's such a waste of a platform. It's kind of funny that I'm still there because I got kicked off Twitter now 3 times, by the way. I made an account yesterday and it lasted 3 minutes and they instantly booted me. So I was if you just go look up at @undercoverdale, that was me. You'll see it's suspended. It didn't last very long. So it's a no-go for Twitter, at least right now. Like, if I can't even get away with that was kind of vague. I'm going to have to be completely anonymous. But I don't know. So definitely go check out those alternative platforms. Odyssey for the videos. I'm still on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that shit. I'm on all the RSS feeds. I'm using Podbean to upload all my podcasts now. Spreads it out to all those platforms. You'll find all that shit. That has not been censored at all yet. But it's kind of funny because I used to be getting, 1,000 to 2,000 views on episodes on YouTube. And then if it was a good one, I'd get like 5,000 plus. I've been consistently getting like between 1,000 and 2,000 listens per episode. So I used to be getting like at least 3,000 or 4,000 culminated views between like YouTube and Odyssey and all the audio platforms. It usually was at least like 2,000 or 3,000, between like 2,000 to 4,000. It was always like somewhere in there. And then if I got a really good episode altogether, it would, get up near 10,000 sometimes when you added all the platforms together. Right now, I'm getting more on listens than I am for YouTube because YouTube has just dropped off so suddenly in the last few months. So all that to say, just like double check, make sure you're still subscribed to me on YouTube. Make sure you've got the bell on so that the notification comes up when I go live or upload something. But it'd be better if you just go to Odyssey and watch me there and join these other platforms. And so I've got Substack and Telegram specifically listed, but then below that, I've got a link tree with all my platforms. You can follow me everywhere: Gab, Getter, Float, all the shit nobody even uses, the stuff I honestly don't even use. I am on Rumble, but I upload a video and it gets like 7 views. So I need to be convinced that that's worth it. Like if I go to some alternative platform and I get a lot of traffic, that's great. But a lot of these platforms, I don't get shit. I've got like 1,500 followers on Getter, so I might start actually using that because Spike actually talked me up a little much. The only platform I've been banned off of is Twitter. I got a lot of posts taken down on Getter because I was pushing buttons to see how far you could push the free speech or whatever, which wasn't very far. I got lots of posts removed, but I still do have an account there. So I might just start posting links in there. I might start live streaming there because YouTube's such a fucking joke. But anyway, all that's out of the way. Go to the description, follow me on Substack and Telegram specifically, but then I got the link tree there. You can follow me everywhere else you want to. All right, so let's see. We've got a lot of people in here now. Let's see. Okay, this is from Ronwell Nogales. I miss you on Twitter. My personal exciting news for me is my child celebrity followed me back, and I hope that you're happy for me. I'm happy for you, Ronwell. My question for you is, did you get to interview Tulsi at Yale? I did not interview Tulsi. I saw her at Yale. She gave a speech for, 30 minutes or something. So I saw the speech. And then she sent an email out to her local supporters saying, I will be in this room after my speech, so come hang out. So I don't know how many people there, probably like 20 or 30 people were in that room. All the other speakers like Spike Cohen and, all those guys were hanging out there. So I went in and I did talk to her for, 3 or 4 minutes. And I didn't bring up the show because she knows I've already harassed her plenty. You guys have done a great job on Twitter and locals and YouTube and everywhere, just harassing the fuck out of her. Every time she posts on Twitter, I see people are still like saying, when are you going to go on Reed's show? So I appreciate all that. and she knows. So I didn't bring it up to her then. I just talked to her about how she knows me personally from the campaign. So I talked about moving back to New Hampshire, how my life is going there. And I also told her it's kind of funny, you know, when I campaigned for you, nobody had any idea who you were. And now you're on Fox News every night, you're blown up all over the place. And then I just told her, like, I wish she was in there instead of Biden. Things would be a lot different right now, I think. But I don't know. I have been ghosted by a lot of people. It's not just Tulsi. So she's been the most annoying one because it's been going on for over a year now. But Roger Stone, I got connected with him through Chase Geyser, who had him on his show too. He gave me his email, and I got answers from his secretary a couple different times saying, yeah, we'll do this, and then never respond. And then I finally got her to respond to me again a few weeks ago. And she said, like, oh, let's set something up, and got ghosted again. Patrick Bet David, also Chase Geyser, set me up with that. I've sent 3 emails, got ghosted. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I've had 2 lines to her, got ghosted by her. It's pretty annoying. I've just like, I am not working right now. And when I was working, it was like every other fucking day, like Dan McAdams, Ron Paul, you know, James Lindsay, Alex Stein, just like all these fucking interviews churning out. And I'm working 60 hours a week trying to fit them in here and there. And now I'm not working and everything just fucking dried up. So it's kind of annoying. But I am still trying to get these people on. I don't know if I'm blacklisted now. I don't know if, I mean, I've Googled my name and I know maybe it's that SPLC article. Maybe it's the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now I'm a fucking, you know, I'm a racist or whatever. So they don't want to have me on anymore. Let's see. Can you talk to Ryan Dawson about the video? What is Duganism and why it matters by Freedom Alternative with Ryan Dawson, please? I'm open to it. I don't know the video, so sorry. Let's see. This is the first time I've gotten a notification of yours in a while. I kind of thought you had stopped. I should pull these up on the screen so you guys can see them. So yeah, I have been putting up episodes pretty regularly. I did take like 2 or 3 weeks off back in May or whatever when I moved back, or was that June? Whatever it was. When I moved back to New Hampshire, I took like a couple weeks off because I was moving, and then I got back, and then I went to Porkfest. But even then, I did a 4 Horsemen with Scott Dawson and had Dave DeCamp on. So it wasn't like dead. But yeah, I never stopped. They've been going up pretty regularly. So make sure you've hit the bell, and I don't know. Let's see. Do you ever plan on getting married? Yeah, that's a good question. I'll be honest, I don't know. I think maybe I have been disenchanted with marriage from the people I know who are married. Like everyone says, oh, you don't know happiness until you get married, but it doesn't really seem to line up with the people I know who are married. I know a couple people who are married who are happy. Most of them, they aren't happy. Like they coexist at best. So we'll see. I'll just put it this way. Like I would rather be single than with somebody that I hate. And I feel like a lot of people rush into that type of stuff and they end up being married to someone they hate forever. And I don't really need that. So yeah, if the right person comes along, eventually I will get married, but it's kind of just dependent on how things go. Let's see. Just say you're a comedian and this is a joke, then you get away with more risky takes. That's true. I actually, I think all the 4 Horsemen episodes, I changed to comedy instead of politics because I didn't want them to get removed. You got to do it on a device, then put it on airplane mode for 15 seconds and log on. Same with desktop. It resets and sadness in your IP address. All right. I wonder why Malice hasn't had you on his show, or Tom Woods. Anomaly. I have been on Tom Woods' show. He's another one I just sent an email to. I've had him on the show and he reposted the show that we did onto his show. I did send him an email a few weeks ago or a couple weeks ago too, and haven't heard back. So I've just not been lucking out with emails. Man, asking the deep questions, Alexander. Do you think anarchy will ever be achieved? I don't know what that means. Like throughout the whole world, or in your town, or I mean, that's such an open-ended question. So I was up in Maine last week, South Addison, Maine. I don't know if any of you guys know where the hell that is. That's way out in the middle of nowhere on the seacoast. There is a sheriff that has jurisdiction over the county, and the nearest police department in some of those townships is like 40 minutes away. I mean, some of the townships don't even have names. It'll be like Township 236 or whatever. So if you live out there, it is basically anarchy. You're just kind of take care of yourself, keep to yourself, don't fuck with other people, they don't fuck with you. So do I think anarchy will be achieved? It totally depends on what level you're talking about. It has been achieved in a lot of levels, like up there in Maine. It's basically anarchy. Ryan talks about growing up in the Outer Banks, basically anarchy, no police doing anything around. So yeah, I do think it depends on what level you're talking about. I do not think we'll ever have a world without government, if that's what your question is. Let's see. Tim Cast is scared of the naturalist capitalist. Too many shout outs and no invite. It is funny. Like I've had at least 2, maybe 3 shout outs on that show. And I know people that used to work there who have recommended me to Lydia, and I think to Tim, and also to Luke Radowski. So I've been recommended. I've been shouted out. Never been invited. Even in the depth of all that fucking trucker strike going on up in Canada and everything, it seemed like a prime time. I did get on Kennedy though, so that was great. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know why I haven't been on there. Let's see. Why are libertarians, at least the ones I've seen so far, including you, so opposed to trade unions? Collective bargaining has nothing to do with socialism. So I do not think the government should break up unions. I am personally not a fan of them, and it's 100% from personal experience. I've worked. It's mostly been in the power line construction arena. The unions that I worked around encouraged laziness, they encouraged bureaucracy, and they destroyed the functionality of the companies. So these were like the big utility companies in New Hampshire. People wouldn't do anything outside of their specific job description. So like an electrician couldn't use a shovel. You'd have to call an excavator to come use a shovel. And then you'd have to have the electrician plug your tool in for you. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but there's just a lot of this dumb shit taking place. They'd also, like, as soon as it started raining at all, just shut down, not doing anything. If it got too hot or too cold, they wouldn't do anything. And it just encouraged, lack of workmanship, lack of care for getting the job done in general. So that is all empirical influence from personal experience. I do not ever want to be part of a union. However, I do think it is your First Amendment right to form a union if you want and to barter or bargain with your employer. So I've actually kind of flipped on right to work states. I didn't actually used to understand what that meant. I thought that it was basically like the union could force you to join something, but they can't. It's just like if you're going to join a company that is already union, then the union can basically tell you, like, look, you need to be part of this union in order to work for this company, which, if you really stand for the rights of employers should be able to tell their employees to do basically whatever they want them to do. And if you don't like it, you just go get a different job somewhere else. So I don't actually support right to work states anymore, even though I used to, because I think it was just a kind of misunderstanding of how that legislation worked. But yeah, I don't personally like unions. I would personally never work for one, just from personal experience and from my dad being a teacher. He hates the teachers unions, even the local teachers unions, especially the big ones like the NEA, all that shit. They're very they're very political, and I feel like in some ways they've almost become what they were set out to destroy. Like they've basically become giant corporations that run companies into the ground. So I don't I don't like unions, but I am never going to advocate that the government make it that you cannot join a union or get in between a union and a company or whatever. Like, I don't think that's the government's place. If you don't want to work for a union, I think you should be allowed to go work somewhere else, which you are. So that's my thoughts on that. Let's see. Would you say war is state-sponsored mass murder on its own citizens? Yeah, I think that's a fair statement. Let's see. Actually, yeah, I'm having Alex Stein on Tuesday. He's been on the Four Horsemen once already, but I'm gonna have him on Tuesday again, Tuesday night, I think at 8:00 p.m. So yeah. Hey Reed, you really need to get Ryan Dawson to debate Michael Malice on the issue of Zionism. Malice is a self-proclaimed Zionist, yet LARPs is an anarchist. He constantly trashes Palestinians. I don't know how you expect me to set this interview up. But sure. I mean, if the opportunity presented itself, I would totally do that. Trade unions should never be harassing non-unioners. I mean, I don't think they should be either, but if there's a company that wants to unionize, do you really think the government should step in and protect a worker from the union in that company? I don't really think that's the government's job. If a company wants to fully unionize and say you got to be in the union to be part of this company, I think that's the right of the company to do that, and you can go get another job somewhere else. It's not like a perfect scenario. It kind of sucks if you don't want to be part of the union. Like if I was working for a company and this has happened, like I knew people who worked at companies where they would unionize and they'd be like, well, you know what, fuck it, I'm leaving. But it opened up an area for competition to step in, because the company I was working for was one of the only non-union line companies in the state. And so everyone who wanted to leave these companies that were unionizing, they had a perfect opportunity to come work for us, which is what you want, instead of getting the government involved and saying, no, you can't push this guy out of the company because he's not union, blah, blah, blah. But like I said, I don't like unions, and I don't like the fact that they do a lot of this stuff, like pushing people out of companies. I think unions ideally should entice you into joining them. You know, like, oh, we're so great, our benefits are so awesome, if we'll take such good care of you, you should want to join of your own volition. But there were some companies where there would be union and non-union people working at the same place. That's the way I think it ideally should be. And if you want someone to work at to be part of your union in the place you work, then that's the way to go. Sorry, I missed this question. When are you going to invite Steve from Slow News Day? Put you on his show. Only seems fair to extend the invite to him on your show. I actually hung out with Steve in Vegas. I saw him there with Pasta, and I also got to meet the what's her name? Man, Misty Winston from the Free Assange group. Got to see them out there, hung out with them. I've got good rapport with those people. I'd have them on. Let's see. David Fight. How are you liking the new place and job? Well, I'm not working yet, but the place is fine. I'm here living with Phil Labont from All That Remains. It's pretty chill. There's 4 bachelors living here. I don't know how long I'll be here. It's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. Like even for New Hampshire, I'm like the far southwest corner of the state. Takes a while to get anywhere, but when I first decided I was moving back to New Hampshire, he hit me up and said, "Hey, I've got a room." And I figured, hey, what the hell? Why not move in with a rock star? It'll be fun. Michael Mossad flies the black flag till Israel comes up. There you go. So to be honest, like I know this kind of secondhand from Scott Horton talking about it and Ryan talking about it. I don't actually watch Michael Malice that much. I followed him on Twitter because he was funny on Twitter, but I don't really watch his show, so I don't know a ton about the guy. I know he knows. I actually met him at Tom Woods 2000, and he's good friends with Bridget Fedesi, whose show I've been on, and I know like there was a connection made there, but he doesn't like to talk to libertarians. He likes, unless there's something else interesting about them, and I guess he didn't think there was anything else interesting about me at the time or whatever. So we've not collabed, but that's all right. Let's see. I work electrical. Unions are a group of goddamn lazy ingrates. They're all commies regardless. I've been working for a family business for years, and unions can kiss it where the sun don't shine. Yeah, I tend to agree with your sentiment, man. I do not like unions. That's still, I don't like, I don't like anti-Semites either, or people. I don't like racists, but I think if you're an employer, you should be allowed to hire or fire whomever you want. And I think unions, if a workplace wants to unionize, they should be allowed to do that. And if they say you need to join the union or leave, it sucks if you work there, but I think that should ultimately be their right. Now, when that I'm talking strictly like private sector unions. Once you start talking about police unions and public unions, is a whole different matter. Those can get fucked. Geez, wow, we got a lot of Michael Malice fans in here. So I don't know what to tell you guys about Michael Malice. I don't really watch his show. I've seen a couple episodes. I've watched a couple where he talks to Dave Smith. I saw when he had Justin Amash on his show. That one was interesting, but I don't really know a ton about his views. I know he's an anarchist. That's about it. What data would you need to see to move you to support modern monetary theory? That inflation is actually transitory, and that so modern monetary theory basically believes that I'm trying to remember the exact wording for it, but like as long as there's demand, like keeping the money supply moving, then you're not going to have inflation basically. And I don't buy that. Like I think inflating the money supply, which by definition is just pumping more money into the economy, you're going to have prices go up and shit, which that's obviously happened. So this idea that, we just need to keep the economy moving and then we can pump as much money into it as we want and give it to whoever, that seems like bullshit to me. So a lot different data than we've been seeing lately. What is your take on some states allowing late-term abortions and others banning Plan B? Yeah, I mean, I don't agree with either of those positions, but I think it's better than federal control. I think you're going to see a lot of that. Like some states like New Hampshire are probably going to be more moderate, but then you're going to see states like New York just continue to go to full-term abortions, late third term, whatever. And then you're going to see states like Alabama, banning the morning after pill. I'm not really a hardliner on abortion because I think it is kind of complicated sometimes. But I think in general, like, I mean, I don't really care about first trimester abortions at all. But second and third, it seems like you should have some sort of legitimate reason other than just elective birth control to abort your fetus. Now, like actually trying to legislate that is a little messy too. Like, I don't think it necessarily is the answer, but I don't really have a lot of sympathy for people I don't have any sympathy for people who want to electively abort their baby in the second or third trimester. I feel like that's something you should have taken care of early on. And I think it's also exceedingly rare for that to happen, especially in the third trimester. Like not a lot of elective abortions are taking place at that time. And there are in the second trimester, but not like in the third trimester. So I don't know. Like I'm a bit of a moderate when it comes to abortion. I think it should be avoided at all costs, basically until there's not really any other option. But as with everything, I think like trying to regulate it out of existence is kind of a lost cause. So I think it's mostly a cultural battle. Like I think it's one of those things that we have to educate people that you're not just taking a pill and dissolving something the size of the end of a matchstick. Like you're sometimes taking scalpels and ripping limbs apart and crushing skulls and doing these incredibly gruesome operations, and it's disgusting and heart-wrenching and sad. And I think it, like, most of it is just getting the information out there. If people knew how aware and alive and sentient the baby is when it's being aborted, I think that would change a lot of people's minds. But the information just isn't out there. A lot of people don't realize that. Let's see. Man, you guys really like Michael Malice. Jeez. By the way, Michael, if not that you would ever see this, but I'd love to have you on and talk to you. And I'll, I mean, even if we disagree. Let's see. Who is best, Facebook or FBI? Man, that is a tough question. I don't know. I'm gonna have to go. Facebook is better than the FBI, but not a happy answer. Jeez, lots of malice comments in here. Okay, guys, give me some other than Michael Malice. I understand how you feel about him. So Reed, what's it like to live with a rock star? I've listened to Phil's All That Remains since I was like 10. Have always been a big fan. Phil keeps to himself and doesn't go out much, other than when he's practicing or whatever. Like he's gone pretty much every day for practicing with the band down in Massachusetts, but he doesn't like to go out in public much. It's kind of funny, which don't blame him. I guess he probably gets spotted a lot. The first time I met him in person, we went out for dinner in Keene with the Jackman brothers, and we weren't in a like super popular restaurant, but I'd say over the 2 hours we were there, probably 10 people came over and asked for a picture with him. So he definitely gets noticed everywhere he goes. What's your take on Stefan Molyneux? So I'll be completely honest. I've never watched him. I've heard a lot about him. Peaceful Parenting. I know people who love him. I know people who hate him. He's not someone I don't think I've ever watched an episode. I don't think so. I might have, but I can't give an honest, complete answer on that because I don't pay attention to him. Wrong answer. Facebook is the FBI. Yeah, that's not completely untrue. They definitely are an arm that does whatever they want. Would you have Count Dankula on your show? This is another person I don't know. You've inspired me. I'm looking it up. Scottish YouTuber. I'll look into him. Sure. I'd have anyone on the show, by the way. But I just don't. I've never watched that guy. How is the new home construction industry doing in New Hampshire? I don't know enough about this either. New Hampshire is an old state and it's a small state. There's definitely still room for houses going up. Houses are going up. But it's not like Utah was, where you just got acres and acres and acres and acres of sprawling prairie that hasn't had houses built on it. It's been a populated state by the white man for a lot longer time than it was out west, but I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know if a lot of new homes have gone up in the last couple of years. It seems like it would with all the people moving to New Hampshire. Which libertarian thought leaders do you admire the most? Well, my favorite libertarian is Dan McAdams, I'd say. He's awesome. I really like his approach, especially on foreign policy, and he's just based. He's very well read, very well researched, super stalwart in his beliefs. He's a real inspiration, and he's a good friend of mine too now, which is pretty amazing. I got in contact with him a few months ago when I had him on my show, and he was really impressed with the episode we did. And that's how I got Ron Paul on the show. I met him in Texas. We talk a lot through messaging. He's awesome, and he really appreciates me too, which is cool. So I like him. Scott Horton's really inspiring. He's just kind of like truth heroin injected into your veins. Like he's not about sugarcoating anything or trying to ride any sort of populist wave to gain the sympathy of anyone. He just says it how it is. He's another one that's really inspired me. And as far as like authors, I really like Murray Rothbard and Lysander Spooner. I've only read one of Lysander Spooner's works, but it's No Treason. You guys should all go read that. It really changed my mind on how I view a lot of things when it comes to the Constitution and the government and the legitimacy of elections and all that type of stuff. It's a very good book, so go check it out. Let's see. I'm drunk. I'm drunk in my online friend's house in Indiana right now. I'm from New Hampshire, but Indiana is a wonderfully based state. I'll take your word on that. I have only driven through Indiana, and it's not fun to drive through. That's all I can say. I have been, I've been to the Sand Dunes State Park or whatever it is on the edge of the lake. That was nice. But other than that, at least the geography, I'm not a huge fan of. Hey, we got Michael Gurecki. Got to get him back on the show at some point. Aloha Trucker, did you watch Tulsi guest host Tucker Carlson? I saw like 5 minutes of it. She was interviewing someone about pulling out of Afghanistan or how we pulled out of Afghanistan. Haven't watched the whole thing. I tried. I went to see if Anna Kasparian was freaking out because that was something Anna Kasparian has said forever. Like, oh, Tulsi's going to end up hosting a show on Fox News or whatever. And everyone was like, no. And I didn't know if she was going to be rubbing it in everyone's faces or whatever, but I didn't see anything. But it was, I'm here for it. Like I want, I just want maximum chaos. Like this latest thing with Trump with the FBI and seizing documents saying that he had documents related to national security with the nuclear codes or something. At this point, I almost just hope that he was like selling nuclear information to other countries or something. Like, I don't even care. Like, I just want maximum chaos at this point. I'm just kind of in a kind of nihilistic way. I'm just kind of enjoying the shit show as everything comes crashing down. So I thought it was great. She was on Tucker Carlson or was hosting Tucker Carlson. Count Dankula is the guy who thought his dog, I think he's saying who taught his dog the Nazi salute. All right, well, sounds based. I'll have to check him out. Why haven't you been on Timcast yet? I don't know. We were just talking about that earlier. They should have the Liberty Trucker duo on Timcast. Top Lobster, Reed Coverdale, side by side. Should totally do that. Timcast, if you happen to watch this for some strange reason, have us both on. Craziest character you've met trucking. Trucking, man, that's a tough one. I don't know. There are more people who stick out to me from traveling around the country just for leisure in my pickup truck with my brothers. Trucking. Let's see. I'm not going to remember any names. I mean, there were some pretty badass motherfuckers who were just working in the mountains in Idaho, where I'd bring some crusher out for them to, for them to use or whatever. You could tell they were just like hardened mine workers up in the mountains. I'm trying to think of someone who sticks out, but I don't really have one for trucking. I met a lot of strange people while I was traveling. I remember this guy up in Alaska. My brother and I were doing a 4-month road trip. We went from Arizona up to Alaska, back to New Hampshire, and we were near Anchorage, I forget what the name of the town is. There's a ski resort there. And what was this guy's name? It was shit. Now I'm going to forget his name. I don't know. It might come to me while I'm telling the story, but he was telling us about how he travels back and forth from Portland to Alaska every year without a car. He hitchhikes. He was like in his 60s or early 70s. And he was telling this story about how he hitchhiked with a truck driver once. And the truck driver told him, you can't sleep in the cab. You got to sleep underneath the truck. And that night, a grizzly bear Judd, that was his name, Judd. The grizzly bear came up and was like trying to get swipe him out from underneath the truck, and he had to like roll to the other side, and then the bear walked around the other side to try to get him, and he tried to roll under again. And I don't know what percentage of his stories were made up or true, but you kind of take everything people say on the road with a grain of salt. You never know what's 100% true. Usually the people who have done a lot of shit, they don't talk about it, or unless you're telling a story or something, or unless the setting's right. That's what I've found, at least. Like, you have to pry the interesting real stories out of people by getting them to talk. If some guy like just comes up to you and starts rambling, usually they're just kind of blowing off hot air and they're full of it. There was another time my cousin and I were in Hawaii, and this is on Kauai, the far west island. And we met this guy from New Hampshire, and he had renamed himself Zemya. And he lived out in Kalalau Valley, which is on the north side of Kauai, out beyond Hanalei, out in this like 10-mile trail along the coast that takes you to this beach where there's this beautiful valley. It all got washed out in like 2018. The trail did. They had to rebuild it and everything. But there were a bunch of people who would just go and live out in this valley off the grid. And this guy had done that for a while, apparently. So my cousin and I were camping at the trailhead the night before we embarked on this mission. And he was telling us stories. We didn't have a permit to camp on the trail, and we were supposed to have a permit. And so we were asking him, what's the enforcement like out there? Like, is there going to be a ranger who's checking for permits? And he said, oh yeah, well, the last Thursday of every month, all these cops storm the beach in riot gear, and they kick down the tents, and anyone who doesn't have a permit, they arrest them. And we're like, what? That's insane. He made it sound like D-Day, like they have Higgins boats with the door dropping down, and they run out and beat people up. And he kept telling story after story. And after a few minutes, we realized, okay, this guy's just full of shit. And then toward the end of it, he showed us a tattoo. I think it was on his chest, of a bumblebee. And he said the reason he had this tattoo was he was out in the valley and a bumblebee landed on his hand, and it exploded into raw energy, and he absorbed the energy, and it kept him going without food. And then he said he was like living off of sunlight. He would just meditate with no shirt on, just sitting out in the sun, and absorb the vitamin D, and that would keep him going. And then the last story he told was, guys, when I'm on shrooms, I can really tell the difference between what's real and what's not real. And I was out in Kalalau Valley, and I turn around and I see a unicorn standing in the middle of the trail. And I'm like, duh, that's unicorn, definitely my imagination, right? But then this fairy about this big flew right by me, and he was expecting us to just be like, oh, wow. And we're just like, okay, man, yeah. But yeah, lots of, I should do my brother and I should sit down. We kept kind of detailed journals of that entire trip we did to Alaska. And then my other brother, we did a road trip through 33 states back in 2015, also kept a pretty detailed journal. I would love to sit down with both of them and kind of read through the journal and pontificate on what we wrote down, see if there's any extra memories, because the trip in 2015, that was 7 years ago, and then the one to Alaska was in 2016, so that was 6 years ago. So a lot of stuff that happened on those trips that I don't want to forget. So I got to check out Count Dankula, I guess. I've heard the name before. I just haven't watched any of his stuff. Count Dankula is the guy who got canceled and still dealing with legal issues for having his pug give the old German salute. I will check it out. So I don't know if you guys know this, but I didn't listen to a lot of podcasts before 2019. Excuse me. I especially didn't listen to like libertarian podcasts. I didn't know who Dave Smith was until 2020. I think I knew who Tom Woods was from like the Rand Paul campaign. I remember him interviewing him or something once, but my extent of listening to libertarian podcasts was listening to the Ron Paul Liberty Report and like occasionally watching a Kerry Wedler video when they came out. And that was like it. I didn't really sit and listen to podcasts about libertarianism. The podcast I did listen to, I found the intellectual dark web kind of in like 2016, 2017, 2018. So Sam Harris, Jordan Peterson, Dave Rubin, those type of people, I thought they were really interesting. So I was listening to them, and I was listening to debates between like William Craig and Sam Harris and that type of stuff back then. But I really didn't start getting into the broader podcasting world until 2019, when I started paying attention to politics again. And even after that, I didn't really start paying attention to political podcasts in general until 2020 when I started doing it. So some people will probably be surprised sometimes by the people I'm not familiar with, but it's because I'm relatively new to the podcasting world, not just doing my own, but listening to them too. Oh, let's see. Are you a hiker? Great hiking in this part of the country. I am a hiker. So in New Hampshire, the list that you try to knock off is the 48 4,000 footers. So we got 48 mountains that are 4,000 feet or taller. And I did that for my senior project over the summer. So that was the summer of 2011. I think I did it in 14 trail days. The longest day was a 33-mile hike over 6 mountains. They're smaller out here in New Hampshire, but still, that was a chug doing that. And ever since then, like I've done hiking out west, Glacier National Park, on the Olympic Peninsula, Sierra Nevadas, Arizona, the White Mountains of Arizona, the Catalinas in Arizona, the Chiricahuas in Arizona, and then in Colorado, I've done stuff in the what's it called? The Front Range or whatever, near Denver. I've done Longs Peak, and then Mount Shavano, and I've done the Wetterhorn, Uncompahgre, and there's a couple more. So I've done some 14,000 footers. I've done like Wheeler Peak in Nevada, Great Basin National Park. I think that one's 12 or 13,000 feet. So yeah, I've done a good share of hiking. I do enjoy hiking. I like peak bagging the most. I mean, walking through the woods is great, but I really like getting up above the tree line and getting a good view and conquering a mountaintop. That's kind of fun. So I actually, in 2020, after COVID hit and it looked like I maybe wasn't going to be able to get a job because construction had just fallen through the floor, I was considering doing the 14,000 footers in Colorado in 2020. So I actually started running every morning and training for it, getting ready to go. And then I ended up getting a call from the guy in Utah and ended up working for him. But if I hadn't have gotten that job, that's what I was going to do that summer, because I figured, the whole world's falling apart. And, if there's this super contagious disease or whatever that we don't want to be spreading, being out in the mountains is the perfect place to be. So that could have been a different direction I went in, but it wasn't to be. So I would still love to do that type of stuff. I like, I love mountain climbing, love being out in the woods. I tried to put it into my intro there. Like, you see videos of me skiing, videos of me up in Alaska, climbing in the mountains. I'm way into that type of stuff. Really like doing it. We got Adam Fitzgerald. Thanks for watching, Adam. Reed, good evening. What is your biggest fear when it comes to the libertarian movement in the future? I think we're just very easily fractured over dumb shit. Like, say what you will about the left and the right, but they can disagree on like really major issues and then still come together to work against the other side or whatever. So, I mean, this isn't a compliment to them either, but they could screw over Bernie Sanders and then a bunch of them will still coalesce around Hillary, or they can screw Bernie again and they'll coalesce around Biden, so I don't know. That's maybe it's a consequence of of having principles that it's hard to do that as libertarians. We don't tend to coalesce. We tend to fracture more and more. But I think fracturing over dumb shit is dumb and fracturing over important shit is fine. So I just have a fear that dumb shit is going to keep us divided for a long time. Let's see. Indiana. Reed, Coverdale is banned from Twitter, but what about the naturalist capitalist? It's true. That is true. The naturalist capitalist technically isn't banned from Twitter. I might try that again. That's actually how I created my first alternative account. I was naturalist capitalist for maybe a month or so, and then I decided to switch it over to Reed Coverdale again, because at naturalist capitalist was too long of an address. So I just changed it to at Reed _ Coverdale. I don't know if you saw this, but MAGA now against the FBI. Some libertarians trash talking on MAGA. And Dorr said we should welcome them against FBI. So I'm wondering your thoughts on MAGA now against FBI. Yeah. So I don't know if you guys saw this, but Marjorie Taylor Greene was tweeting out that we should defund the FBI. And then Nina Turner said something along the lines of, if the FBI actually cans Trump, then it'll be our first step toward, reining in fascism in this country. Let me find the tweets because it was incredible. I'm not that surprised. She sucks, but looks like hold on one second. My computer doesn't like letting me browse Twitter because I'm banned. So I got to actually, I can still surf Twitter with my account. I just can't interact at all. But let's see. Oh God. So it looks like she's still going back and forth with them, but let's see if I can find it here. So I don't like Nina Turner. I didn't know a ton about her before, and I used to think she was just like a principled Bernie Sanders because she seemed like she was more hardcore than him, and like she like actually believed in this shit or something. But she seems to be just kind of a shitlib pretending to be a progressive. Or at this point, I don't even know if there is a difference. There are some progressives that I still have a lot of respect for, like Abby Martin, but very few and far between. Let's see here. She might have deleted some of these. Man, did she take them down? All right, well, I'll just have to run through what happened if I can't find it. I just wanted to find it in I don't know. I can't find it. It might not have been on her main page. It might have been back and forth. That's in the comments or something. But anyway, Marjorie Taylor Greene said that we should defund the FBI. And Nina Turner basically just scoffed at her. And Nina Turner had said, if the FBI arrests Trump, it's like our first step in rolling back fascism in this country or something. So Jimmy Dore lit her up and said, when you see quote unquote progressives defending the FBI, you know that they want to be Democrats really badly. So basically saying, you know, hello, this is a golden opportunity for you to be like, yes, you're right, the FBI does suck. And instead of doing that, she was saying the FBI totally should arrest Trump. And who are these stupid Republicans think they are? Like, where have they been? I think that's a dumb approach. Like, if anything, it should be like, yes, I'm so glad that you realize this. And going after Trump isn't the first thing the FBI has done. They've been going after dissenting groups for decades, since their inception, actually. Since World War I, they were going after anti-war groups who disagreed with Woodrow Wilson's foreign policy. So it's a great opportunity to kind of red pill conservatives into how bad the FBI really is. Like, I think that's the way to go forward. Now, I did a live stream about this yesterday. I have no idea if they actually have anything legitimate on Trump this time, because how many times have we heard like, oh, this is the smoking gun, we've got Trump. This, like, every time they've said that, it's never been the case. On the same note, Trump is incredibly clumsy, and he makes a lot of dumb mistakes, and he gets stabbed in the back all the time. Case in point, like Christopher Wray, who definitely at least okayed this raid, is the guy that Trump appointed to head the FBI. So many people stabbed Trump in the back. John Bolton, Bill Barr, like all these people that he put in there to help him end up fucking him over. So I don't know. If they have something on him, it's going to be interesting. Like I said earlier, like I'm kind of here for the chaos. So with this much turmoil already being turned up, I almost hope he is guilty of like some major espionage, because that would be very interesting. Like, I'm kind of living for the interesting moments now. I never win. Like, when Roe v. Wade got overturned, or when the leak came out that it was getting overturned, like I said earlier, I'm not a hardliner on abortion. I think sometimes it's a little complicated, but I just loved seeing the and the chaos. It just gave me so much joy seeing people freaking out over that, because I never win anything. I never get anything I want. Like, we rarely ever end a war. We never cut spending. We never protect civil liberties. We never do any of that shit. So I never get a political win. So the only time I feel any joy is when people I hate are miserable. So I don't know. It would be interesting if Trump gets in trouble. We'll find out. Most libertarian podcasts are preaching to the choir and aren't worth listening to, in my experience. Well, I try not to do that. I know, like, one of my biggest demographics is former Trump supporters, which I think is great. Most of my friends that I've kind of brought over to libertarianism, it's been the same thing. But yeah, I don't like to. I mean, I haven't read a ton of libertarian theory. Like, I need to read Hans Hermann Hoppe. I haven't read any of his stuff. I've read little bits and pieces here and there, but I should read like some Hans Hermann Hoppe and some Mises. Like, I've really read Rothbard. I've read For New Liberty, The Progressive Era, obviously Anatomy of the State. And then I've read Lysander Spooner's No Treason. And then I tried to read Man, Economy, and State. I was actually just trying to listen to it in the cab while I was driving. But man, that's a hell of a book to try to get through. So I would like to read. I should read some Mises and Hayek and Rothbard, but I honestly find like libertarian theory to be pretty boring. And even after I read it, I'm not gonna preach about it on this show because I think there's plenty of shows that do that. You can go hear libertarian theory from tons of other shows. I try to do a little bit more like blue collar, tangible stuff, a little bit more foreign policy, conspiracy theory. I just find it more interesting. And I think my subscribers find it more interesting too. Mike Rowe, so man, Mike Rowe is my ultimate guest. Like I was just saying, like I'm not way into libertarian theory and all that stuff. Like Mike Rowe, a lot of his philosophy is very libertarian, but it's through a blue collar, hands-on experience lens. And his philosophy on, once you start preaching about safety nonstop and jamming it down people's throats and making a checklist out of it, you actually make people less safe because they stop thinking about what they're doing and they're just making sure they're complying instead of watching out for the danger that is still present on the job site. And he talks a lot about, only go to school if you have to. Don't incur unnecessary debt that, you can't pay back. Like all sorts of really important life lessons that I totally agree with. And I'm a truck driver and I've done roofing and construction and, all sorts of shit that I could totally relate to him. So he has not gotten back to me. So a year and a half ago or so now, I actually got in contact with his secretary and I sent his secretary the channel trailer I had at the time. Now, in fairness, the channel trailer at the time was very political. I don't think there were any shots of trucks or heavy equipment or anything. It was all Scott Horton, Ryan Dawson, Pete Quinones, Kerry Wedler, like people talking about how evil the intelligence agencies were and how many people we'd murdered overseas or whatever. And I don't know. It was it wasn't a broad-reaching trailer for sure. So the guy watched it and he said, "Hey, man, I don't think Mike Rowe is really your flavor. Like you're talking about deeply political things. He kind of stays in his lane and only talks about the skills gap and blue collar work and stuff like that." And I was like, okay. I'm sorry if I sent the wrong message with the trailer, but I'm a truck driver and a podcaster. Like I'm working and doing this podcast at the same time. And I am not going to have Mike on to talk about the CIA or Operation Mockingbird or something. Like I want to talk to him about the skills gap and about blue collar work and about having a good work ethic and bettering yourself and like all this shit that Mike Rowe talks about. And the guy said, okay, well, he's not doing appearances right now, but we'll get back to you if he ever starts doing it. So then like 6 months ago, another guy told me that he was going to be at an event where Mike Rowe was the keynote speaker and that he would drop my name to Mike directly. I have not heard back from that guy. He emailed me. If you're watching this and you happen to be the guy who emailed me, like just email me again. Let me know what happened. But I haven't heard anything back from them. I think that's one that I'll have to do a direct line because I don't think his secretary is too sold on the idea. What do you think of Sam Harris now? So I'm not a fan anymore. I think what was interesting to me about him was that he wasn't hateful. Like Richard Dawkins. Yeah. Dawkins is like obviously spiteful and hateful. And I don't really buy that he doesn't believe in God, actually. I mean, he's kind of that stereotype of someone who hates something that they claim they don't believe in. It's just really weird. And I don't know if that's from his upbringing, something, you know, some religious guy did something to him, or I don't know. I don't know why that is, but he just like comes off as extremely hateful and hard to listen to, in my opinion. And Sam was like extremely calm, collected, you know, logical. He'd take on logical arguments instead of kind of emotional ones like Dawkins would. That was why I liked him. After Trump got elected, especially toward the 2020 election, I felt like Sam Harris kind of threw the logic out the window and was just embracing hysteria like he had warned against forever. And that was his big thing, was like, we need to embrace philosophy and logic over these whimsical feelings. And then he just kind of flushed it all down the toilet by just doing it anyways. So I lost a lot of respect for him. And I've also realized that, like, I mean, he would talk a lot about how awful Muslims are and a little bit about how awful Christians are. He'd never talk about the Jewish religion at all. And he especially wouldn't talk about it in relation to Zionism or how it controls government policy. He would talk a lot about how he thought Muslim policy or Muslim beliefs drove policies of countries in the Middle East, but he'd never suggest that that could be the case about Israel or Christian Zionist countries either. Like he wouldn't really talk about that. Like, it was always the Muslims are the bad people who are driving the government decisions with their crazy, you know, fundamentalist ideology or whatever. And so I realized, like, he was more like anti-Muslim than anything, and wasn't really willing to bring his logical critiques of religion all the way through. He would just do it to kind of low-hanging fruit. I mean, it's super easy to say, like, yeah, honor killings are bad and Sharia law is bad. Like, I don't know. It's like saying slavery was bad or the Holocaust was bad. Like, yeah, no shit. No one disagrees with you. Congratulations. But he wouldn't really go after some of the more controversial stuff. And that's why I really like, you know, Scott Horton is an atheist, and so is Ryan Dawson, but they're not afraid to talk about that area. Like, you know, the fact that Zionism, whether it's through Christianity or Judaism, is really a dangerous ideology that really captivates large numbers of people. So, yeah, I think Sam Harris is just kind of overrated at this point. Oh, let's see. Glad you found Ryan Dawson. He's the real deal. Those intellectual dark web dweebs are weak sauce by comparison. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, you're grabbing low-hanging fruit. Doesn't take much critical thought. Finished my weekly route today and went on a 2-hour romp through the woods. Filled a sack of mushrooms, which I'm drying now. Very nice. Yeah, it's good to get out in the woods. I did a backpacking trip with my dad like a month ago now, right before I went to Vegas, and we did a 30-mile backpacking trip, 3 days, 10 miles each day. Went over 3 or 4 mountains. It was good, nice weather. We spent one night down by the river in the valley, and then the next night we were up on the ridge, got to see the sunset and the sunrise, and then we hiked out the last day. It was good, really fun. So definitely get out in the woods if you can. Which is your favorite Kaufman ad? War is Gay. I don't think that one's going to be surpassed personally. It's so good. I helped with the two that just came out about abortion. I helped a little bit more with the abortion is bad one, because I was actually collecting props. And this is kind of a funny story. So I showed up in Manchester and they had just finished shooting something else. And then we went to that office where you see those both filmed. And they said, okay, we're going to start filming the abortion is good one. And they had the gay pride flag and the buttons and shit. So I said, well, you guys should do this from both angles. That was actually my idea. I said, like, we should have the abortion is good one, but then we should also have one pointing out the hypocrisy of the conservatives. So they were down with it. So they said, well, where are you going to find props? It's like Army Surplus Store, super easy. We can find Back the Blue stuff, Stand with Israel stuff, super easy. So I went to this Army Surplus Store that was like 20 miles away, and I get there and I get a Back the Blue flag, thin blue line flag or whatever, get some pins. And then I asked him, do you guys have any Israeli flags? And he said, let me go look, because we might have some in the back. And they went and looked and there weren't any. He's like, nope. A couple months ago, we switched out all the Israeli flags for Ukrainian flags. I just thought that was such a mask off moment. So funny. Like, just NPCs switch one thing for the other thing, different corrupt foreign state that we want to subsidize. So that was kind of funny. When are you going to impregnate me from Liberty Lockdown? I'm still trying, man. I'm still trying. Nothing's gonna slow me down. I'm gonna try every time I see you. See, Andrew Martin, Reed, I am just a working class, stuck doing Uber, etc. Can I make a living and move to New Hampshire? Sure, man. I don't know where you live now, but I mean, if you live in Los Angeles or something, the economy is a lot easier to get by in New Hampshire than Los Angeles. Kind of depends on where you are. Like, there's some areas it's definitely easier to live. Like, I could buy a decent lot of land down south somewhere with the money I have right now. I'd be lucky to be able to do that up here in New Hampshire. Like, the property prices are higher. Property taxes are high. That's what sucks in New Hampshire. That's the thing we really need to work on. The problem is, we don't have a sales tax. We don't have an income tax, but we put it all on the property tax. So I think the property tax is actually the worst one. In my opinion, it would have been better if we could have gotten rid of a property tax first, and then the sales tax is like the last one you have, and you slowly whittle it away. But we're kind of working from the other end now. So the property taxes still suck here. We're going to have to see what we could do. Let's see. I am coming from Florida. Hard to leave the free state of Florida, but I need change. Yeah, coming up, man. I hope you like the cold. I don't like Florida. So it's not because of DeSantis, actually, or like, that's not why I don't like Florida. I've never liked Florida. I've been there a few different times. It's just too hot. It's too flat. There's too many bugs, and there's not enough mountains. I need snow and mountains, and Florida doesn't have either of those things. It's full of old people. Like, it's just not my scene. I like the cold. I like the snow. I like hills, so that's why I couldn't do Florida. I would honestly be hard pressed to choose Florida over California, even with how awful the government is. Like, I'd rather live somewhere off the beaten path in California. I hate Florida. So don't take it personally. It's not you people, and it's not even like the government like that. I think the Florida government is better than a lot of other states. So I'm just not into it. I'm from Alabama, and I also love Florida, but yeah, New Hampshire is the place to be. There you go. Move on up, guys. It's good. All right, guys. Well, we're over an hour now. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, lots of comments in this stream and lots of comments beforehand saying that you're not getting notifications when I go live or when I upload stuff. So definitely go follow me on Telegram. I'm going to drop that link in the chat. Here it comes. So this is a great place to keep up with me. I drop notifications in here. My YouTube videos come up. So here's the link. just go follow me on Telegram. You'll enjoy it, and you won't get censored. And yeah, just check into YouTube occasionally, because I guess they're not going to let you know when I upload a video. And it sucks being held hostage by YouTube, but YouTube is my biggest platform. I got almost 10,000 subscribers here. It's still where I get, well, I guess it's technically not where I get most of my traffic now. Although the listens, that's like every platform combined. So that's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you know, everything put together. I usually get like 1,000 to 2,000 listens per episode. So that is more than YouTube now, sadly. It didn't used to be. But as far as like a singular platform goes, YouTube's still the biggest. So I want to keep this as long as I can too, because it gives you a lot of legitimacy. Andrew threw in a super chat. Dude, I just want to put my money where my mouth is. I'm just afraid, broke, working class, need a change desperately. Yeah, well, man, you didn't have to give me $10 if you're broke. I appreciate it though. Yeah, man. Come on up to New Hampshire if you can. We can help you out with the Free State Project. If you subscribe to my Substack, you'll have my email, and you can send me a direct email there. So my Substack is linked in the description. Follow me there, send me an email, and I can hook you up with the Free State Project guys. And they do what they can to help people be able to migrate here. So I'd love to help you out, man. Thanks for the money. I appreciate it. Definitely didn't need to give it to me. Oh, hey, here's a question before you go. Can I give you sub money monthly through Substack? Yeah, I need to start setting that up. So I finally got 300 subscribers the other day. So I'm going to start doing paid only content too here, because I need something for some like more slightly passive income. I did pick up some sponsors out in Nevada at Freedom Fest, and still need to talk with them about getting the ads going and everything, but I'll have sponsors finally, so that's good. But I definitely want to kind of set everything up where you can, I want the money like coming more directly to me. I don't want YouTube taking 30% of it or whatever it is that they do right now. So more updates coming on that. All right, guys, I am going to sign off. Thanks for tuning in. Share this around if you wouldn't mind, because people aren't going to get notified that it went up. But I'll catch you later. I will be live streaming tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Connor Freeman. And then Tuesday, I've got Alex Stein coming on the show. So that'll be good. And then more stuff will be coming after that. I'll catch you guys later.